The abduction of 300 students from a school in Chibok and other subsequent kidnappings exposed Nigerians to the stark reality of the number of unprotected schools in the country. Several years later, a Safe Schools initiative brought together agencies of government as well as other concerned persons to address the spate of attacks on school facilities in the country. Well, this ushered in a national financing plan for the implementation of the initiative between 2023 and 2026, with an investment target of over 144 billion naira. Several committees have been constituted to implement these initiatives, while the Nigeria Police also inaugurated the Safe School Protection Squad early today. 15 billion naira was earmarked to finance the initiative in 2023. The target is to cover 50% of the most at-risk public schools within a 3-year period. This is our focus on Nigeria today. Welcome to the program. I am Eucharia Clinton. Joining me to discuss Nigeria's Safe School Initiative is CSO Tesu Shapira, PhD, Commander, National Safe Schools Response Coordination Center. He is also a forensic psychologist. You're welcome to Nigeria today.
Thank you very much.
So I will just set the ball rolling. So tell us all about this Safe School initiative and the work done so far.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me once again. First of all, I think I will clear an impression. Safe School Initiative was a program brought into Nigeria by Gordon Brown, and it operates predominantly in the Northeast, Adamawa, Yobe, and Borno. That was after the adoption of the Chibok girls. That was the second major sad incident on education in Nigeria. So it's Safe School Initiative. And then eventually, Safe School Declaration was also being introduced, and in 2019, particularly the former President Muhammadu Buhari, signed the ratification document. However, that is for the institutions. Now, I am for the Safe Schools Response Coordination Center, which is a product of the National Implementation Plan on Financing Safe Schools. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps had, in 2021, April precisely, conducted a study. We carried out a vulnerability study on schools to understand what threats are, because there's always a threat before attack. So if we are able to identify what the threatening issues are and we're able to address them, then we'll get it right. So it was a program sponsored by the then newly appointed Commandant General, Dr. Ahmed Abubakar Audi, OFR, the Commandant General, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, that sponsored that survey, because by then he had just assumed office at the Commandant General. So we conducted the survey so that we'll have an idea. And it was this same document, the outcome of that survey, that was used to now constitute the Financing Safe School Technical Working Committee, the secretariat at the Ministry of Finance, that gave birth to the National Safe School Response Coordination Center, which was launched on the 13th of February 2023. That's early this year. And to make it further, before me is the standard operating procedure for the center. Okay. This center spells out responsibilities of the center, responsibility of the corps, responsibility of the other security agencies and other stakeholders, and even the school host communities. What do I mean by that? vigilante groups have a role to play. The hunters in Nigeria, they use all the groups, all citizens, they have a role to play in this regard.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you will tell us more about the role of all these persons groups you mentioned. Now, in your introduction earlier, you mentioned when the initiative came, it was just for a few states, like you mentioned, like to Adamawa, Borno, and the rest. So for these safe schools, I'll call it a project now, how many states of the Federation? Is it all the states in the Federation that it will cover now?
Yeah, for budget convenience, the Financing Safe School Implementation Plan is predominantly for 18 states, but that's for budget convenience. It is not for us as a security organization or as a National Safe School Response Coordination Center. For us, it is Nigeria. It is Nigeria and all about Nigeria. It has nothing to do with the 18 states in terms of our security coverage. However, that 18 is being identified as at the time of preparing this document in what you call the high-risk states for budget convenience, so that the finance release money to the schools in those states. And next year, it will now cover the rest. That is just for budget convenience, not for security arrangement. For security arrangement, even today, the Commandant General instructed the state commandants and the zonal commanders across Nigeria to ensure that they are working in collaboration with the center and other security agencies for enhanced performance in this regard.
Okay, what has been done to improve the efficiency of officers in these schools?
Offices?
The officers in these schools. I know you have a committee making, we have the police, we have the NSCDC, and of course other agencies. So what has been done to it?
Well, at the level of schools, our end users are the schools. It is the education. So we are working hand in hand with them. As a matter of fact, education are part of the center. They've posted a liaison officer to the center. So what happened is that we released to the security committee, safety, what they call safety and security committee, which is predominantly the staff of the schools. So when they notice a threat, they communicate the center. However, there is a little challenge there because some of the schools are not yet aware of these programs, to be very honest with you. Because we are working with education, because we need them to communicate to them in a language and through the memo, because you cannot just, security of a school is very complex. It's not what you will just come in as a security organization. You have to work in partnership with the end users, which is the Ministry of Education. So what we do now is to introduce the center to them, sensitize them as to the operations of the center and what is required of them. For example, you have to register. This is provided here. There is a phone number. There are phone numbers that they communicate with us, because communication is very key in this regard. And the schools, they have a responsibility. You go to the website of the center, you register your school, so that we establish you on our security ecosystem map. By so doing, we bring you in, and then you know how we are doing, so that periodically you relate with us. Whether there is a threat or not, you know that you have somebody that is providing that level of protection working with you. What we try to avoid is to deploy people with arms or uniform, as I'm sitting here, to the schools, because it scares students. This, I'm saying it because we got it from education and their documents. If you remember, when the Commandant General launched the female squad and the RRS in 2021 May, that was shortly after we published a report on vulnerability study survey, and then we also recommended proactive security measures. The female squad of the NSCDC and the rapid response squad were going to schools to sensitize them of the way they are uniformed to relate with the student, However, it was discovered that that was not the very true rightful way to go, and that was reversed immediately, so that we don't scare anybody. We only provide that security. So even when you see us, in most cases, we're not in uniform. And one good thing is that the center and what we are doing in this regard is even an extension of what had been there when when civil defense was even a voluntary security organization. Okay. We used to alert the community, the stakeholders on impending dangers. Okay. So even at this stage, what we do is to relate with them, the host community members, the school, community teachers, students at all levels, to have information about what is going on. And these are the information that often we process them, and if there are intelligence, we share it accordingly, and then those that are to do one thing that they're supposed to do, they go ahead in implementing. The center is a forensic evidence-based center. What do I mean by that? There is no more cases of I am not aware. When we receive threat alert and we send it to the next response squad, whether that response squad is that of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, it is that of the Army or the Nigerian Police Force, it doesn't matter. The nearest response squad is what we are working with. And so I was even happy today when I participated at the Nigerian Police event, when they are able to launch their Safe School Protection Squad. We are going to be working together in this project.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, you talk about schools. Is it just restricted to public schools?
No. And I will crave your indulgence to help me in creating that awareness. Okay. For us, the schools are learning institutions. Whether they are public or private, it doesn't matter to us. What is important to us is to protect that child, is to protect that teacher, is to protect that environment and the host community, so that all of them are free from any form of attack. So it doesn't matter whether they are private schools or public schools. We are for schools. And if you look at what Mr. President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, if you look at his drive, his positions, his body language, you understand that he has this desire for a better Nigeria, and he's looking at the future. Very often he made reference to the future of the younger ones, the future of the children. And where are those children? They are in schools. And by so doing, we are hoping that when we continue with this drive, with the community and all stakeholders working collaboratively with us, those students that have said they will no longer go to school, they will come back to school. The parents that are no longer ready, or the ones that are no longer ready to encourage the younger one to go to school, they will see the need moment the schools are completely free from any form of threats. I'm not even talking about attacks, because we are looking at preventive measures. That is our strategic objective.
Thank you very much. We'll take a break here and feel the pulse of Nigerians on the issue of discuss. Don't go away.
Number one thing the police should do, or the school authority, the Ministry of Health, they should do. By now, I think all those things have been put in place. Fencing up the whole school, put on the CCTV cameras, and you can stay anywhere and see whatever is happening anywhere.
You know, school system, if you can recall, years back, 70s, 80s, they allocate 2 to 3 military officers to serve for the security in the school system. But now there is none.
Implementation is the key. So how sustainable and how effective are the strategies that they have put in place?
What I want them to do, they should take the records of the school children, the students in the school, know those that are their staff, know those that are not staff, know those that come from any purpose they came from. If you are coming to some government establishment today, you must state your purpose. You understand? At least they should be mindful and be vigilant.
those task force, if they are ready to do their work and the government is seriously behind them, it's a good one.
Welcome back. It is still Nigeria Today, and we are discussing Nigeria's Safe Schools Initiative. And my guest is still here with me, CSO Tesu Shapira. Now, you heard the response of one of the Nigerians there. I just loved one of the questions there. He said, how sustainable and how effective are the strategies put in place by these, by the pioneers or the drivers of this project?
Okay, that was a very smart question, just like you said, it's a very good one. But we believe in the fact that a result speaks. A result speaks. And we are just starting. So these questions are like a source of encouragement to us that, oh, we are doing the right thing. I heard someone talking about perimeter fencing, talking about CCTV cameras and all of that. These are the things that we discovered. In fact, I am not here to review the kind of things, the kind of information we gathered about schools so that I don't scare people. But if I would throw it back to them, just like they said, how many schools are fenced in Nigeria? Let's talk about perimeter fencing, not to talk of so many other things. So for us, in terms of sustainability, the Special Safe Schools Response Squad, which is a kinetic line of operation, had been launched since February. Because it was very easy for the Commandant General, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps to do that, because already he had a system in place. The female squad and the rapid response squad that were doing those things at that level, with the national plan, they now collapsed them into one body. However, since we are just starting to go gradually, remember it is something that you are not just going to do it haphazardly. School security is actually very serious, sensitive. Everybody is involved. You are talking about children here. You are talking about teachers. Some people they played with safety and security issues without even knowing that these are safety issues or these are security issues. So by the time we engage them, like the Commandant General mapped out 47 different programs on sensitization, advocacy, capacity development, and drills for the personnel of the Safe Schools Response Squad and others, even conflict resolution personnel. And at that level, we are going into communities to relate this with the private gas companies, to relate this with parents, to relate with the vigilante group, to relate this to all the Hunters Association and even forest guard. That
brings me to my, sorry, I'll cut you here. That brings me to my next question. So what is the role of these persons, these people you've mentioned? They were talking about traditional rulers, vigilante groups, the hunters, and the parents. What are their roles?
Their role is to work with us in providing information. Okay. Information which we will translate into intelligence. I give an example. There was a time I was much younger. In Kano, it wasn't any form of conventional security. It was the security in Kano State. When you arrive Kano, in the garage, it is known in the whole city that this person is only just arriving for the first time. You will see people that walk to you, they take you around the Kano market, you get what you want, and they bring you back. If you want, you give them anything to take water, or you don't do anything. They will say thank you and they go. That is the situation here. How many people are aware of security issues? We are looking at prevention. Prevention is the way to go. So we need every information working with everybody. Those trainings I've mentioned, there is what is called recognizance training. People need to understand their environment. You get to know your neighbor. You get to know people who pass around the school. Where are they going to? There are some schools that have roads in between. It's wrong, I'm sorry to mention, but we are working with them, appealing to them to find a way to fence the school environment. So working with these people is to get information. That is the only way to go. What we require is the information. And when we discover that this information is very credible, we take the necessary action that we are supposed to take.
And the identities are protected.
And the identities are protected.
Okay.
And that is one challenge with preventive measures. Because one, you don't need to blow your agent who provides the information for you. You don't need to disclose his identity. And sometimes it looks as if nothing is happening. As I speak to you, over 38, as at yesterday, 38 attacks have been prevented.
Wow.
And I give you an example. One of those attacks, the school, the school in the course of establishment was established on a land that is in conflict. So let me ask, was there any security environmental design considered in the course of registering that school? Because you wake up and establish a school, do you bring in those that are concerned to actually look at it? This area is supposed to be a school. Because the threats on schools are not just from enemies. Some of those threats are natural. For example, flooding. You build somewhere where flood came and erode your district. You wake up one morning and you discover that you don't have a school. Where are those children going to be? Before you know it, you see them roaming around the street and all of that. So these are the things that we're trying to make them to understand. What is very key here is sensitization. That is why 75% of what the center will be doing, remember, is a non-kinetic environment, the center. We work with the kinetic teams right in the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, in the military, and in the Nigerian police to prepare attacks and all of that.
Okay, I will not fail to ask you this. We are in a technology-driven era. You know how much the phones and all of the devices are used. So yes. How do you intend to leverage modern technology to achieve the desired goals of this project?
All right. When it comes to technological components, there are some of the things that there are limits to it. Take, for example, I cannot be telling the public about the capability of technological deployment. Why am I doing that? I shouldn't expose all the measures we have. And like I'm telling you, we have the major stakeholders. We are not just working on our own, especially for the center. The Nigerian police IG deployed policemen to the center. They have capacity in that regard, right at the police. The military, they have capacity, both from DIA, the Naval headquarters, the Nigerian Army headquarters, the Air Force, the Defense Space Administration. They have things in stock that we could leverage on. What we are doing is to collaborate, not as if the center is like a special facility for protection of schools. We are not bringing anything there outside of school protection and the host community. There is to ensure that we are working for our end users. That is what we are doing at the center. So in terms of technology, yes, it has just been established, and you have just read the budget document. There is a budget plan for it, and so far we have received 3 different major international organizations that have made promises to support the center with technology, car equipments, being it drones and all of that, which I may not necessarily mention. But credit goes to them because, for example, the Save the Children International, they've been very, very proactive in seeing this. The UNICEF have been with us. So we are hoping that since we are just starting, remember, there is no center of such in Nigeria. There is no center of such in Africa. There is no center of such anywhere in the world. That's why we receive these people to look at the commitment to practice that Nigeria have put in place.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's it on Nigeria Today. We must thank our guests, the CSO Teso Shapera, PhD. He's also a commander, National Safe Schools Response Coordination Center. He's also a forensic psychologist. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution.
Thank you very much for having me.
And also to our viewer, thank you so much for always being a part of this. Don't forget, Nigeria Today is every weekday by 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am your carrier, Clinton. Once again, thank you for watching and goodbye.